The calendar says late May, but the atmosphere is acting like the dead of winter. Across the northern United States, an unfolding climate disaster is wiping out crops, crushing farms, and blindsiding entire communities. In International Falls, Minnesota, temperatures plunged to 26 degrees Fahrenheit overnight. Cornfields planted just weeks ago are turning black and dying in the soil. Strawberry farms that were days away from their first harvest have been erased in a single freeze. Tomato plants, carefully nurtured for weeks, bought after long drives to nurseries, hardened off under warm spring sun, planted with hope, are now frozen solid. Their cells literally exploded from the inside as ice ripped through the plant tissue at the molecular level. Finished. Destroyed. Gone. Overnight. And this is not just one freak cold snap. This has become a relentless atmospheric assault that has lasted for weeks. Since mid-April, wave after wave of Arctic air has surged south out of Canada, smashing into crops that were already tricked into early growth by abnormal spring warmth. The result is a catastrophic setup. Plants woke up too early, bloomed too early, and then got caught completely exposed when the cold locked back in. This is not a normal spring anymore. It is a climate whiplash event happening in real time. Farmers across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, the Dakotas, New York, and New England are now trapped in a cycle of repeated freeze damage with almost no recovery time between events. One frost weakens the crops, another freeze hits before they can recover. Then another. Then another. Every new cold wave compounds the destruction. Fields are flooding during the day and freezing at night. Orchards carrying young fruit are being wiped out. Entire growing seasons are hanging by a thread. In northern Michigan's Cherry Belt, one hard freeze during this critical late May window can destroy up to 80% of an orchard's fruit production. In the upper Midwest, corn and soybean planting is falling dangerously behind schedule as saturated ground and repeated frosts hammer operations already running on razor-thin margins. In Wisconsin and Minnesota, soil temperatures remain too cold for warm season crops like pumpkins, melons, squash, and peppers. Farmers are losing valuable growing time by the day. In the Finger Lakes region and across New England, vineyards, apple orchards, maple syrup producers, and specialty crop farms are all taking repeated hits from this brutal pattern. And here is what makes this event truly dangerous. This freeze pattern is arriving after an unusually warm early spring accelerated plant growth by weeks ahead of schedule. Trees already bloomed, berry plants already fruited, corn already emerged. Gardens already exploded with new growth. These plants are no longer dormant. They cannot retreat. When temperatures crash below freezing now, the damage is not temporary. It is catastrophic and permanent. Once ice forms inside plant cells, the expanding crystals rupture the cell walls from within. The tissue dies instantly. No amount of warming brings it back. Meteorologists are warning that the pattern may not even be finished. Another deep dip in the jet stream is threatening to drag more Canadian air southward into the Midwest and Northeast heading into Memorial Day weekend. That means additional frost and freeze threats are still possible even though the calendar says late May. And that is what has farmers so alarmed. Average last frost dates have already passed across much of the northern tier, but the atmosphere this year is completely ignoring the seasonal script. For communities already devastated by repeated cold waves, even one more marginal freeze could push vulnerable crops from survival into total loss. This is no longer just about uncomfortable weather. This is about food supply pressure, financial disaster for growers, rising produce prices, and communities watching months of work die overnight under a sky that looks deceptively calm. The warning tonight is simple. Do not let your guard down. Keep frost covers ready. Watch local forecasts closely. Protect sensitive plants immediately when alerts are issued. Low-lying fields and valleys can run several degrees colder than official forecasts, turning a predicted 34-degree night into a crop-killing 28-degree freeze. And for older residents, especially those living alone, these late-season cold blasts can become dangerous fast when homes are no longer prepared for overnight freezes. This spring has become a slow-motion agricultural disaster driven by repeated polar air intrusions, violent temperature swings, and an atmosphere stuck in an unstable pattern that refuses to break. The damage is already severe. And if another Arctic surge arrives before this pattern finally relaxes, the losses across the northern United States could become historic.